Welcome to Module 2B, Dependents. By the end of this module, you will understand who can be considered as a dependent, understand filing status and dependents, and how they affect the tax return. In this module, you'll learn 5 sections. What is a dependent? Who qualifies as a dependent? The effects of the filing status and dependents on a tax return, a recap, and then we'll end with a knowledge check. So, what is a dependent? A dependent is a person other than the taxpayer or spouse who entitles the tax person to claim a dependency exemption as defined by the IRS. For 2019, there is no deduction for dependent exemptions, but claiming a dependent can affect other tax issues, such as filing status and some credits. Dependents must pass a number of different tests in order to qualify. A dependent could be either a qualifying child or relative. So let's talk about how someone qualifies as a dependent. For a qualifying child, 5 tests must be met for a qualifying child. 1. Relationship. Your son, daughter, stepchild, foster child, or descendant, for example, your grandchild, or your brother, half-sister, half-brother, sister, stepbrother, stepsister, or descendant, for example, your niece or nephew. 2. Age. They must be under the age of 19 by the end of the year and younger than you or your spouse if filing jointly. They can be a student under age 24 at the end of the year and younger than you or your spouse if filing jointly, or permanently and totally disabled at any time during the year, regardless of age. They must also pass the residency test, which means they must have lived with you for more than half the year. There are exceptions for temporary absences, children who were born or died during the year, kidnapped children, and children of divorced or separated parents. For temporary absences, your child is considered to have lived with you during periods of time when one or both of you are temporarily absent due to special circumstances such as illness, education, business, vacation, military service, or detention in a juvenile facility. 4. The support test. To meet this test, the child can't have provided more than half of their own support for the year. And 5. The joint return test. They can't file a joint return for the year. For qualifying relative, only 4 tests need to be met. The first is they are not a qualifying child. A child isn't your qualifying relative if the child is your qualifying child or the qualifying child of another taxpayer. 2. The member of household or relationship test. A person must either live with you all year as a member of your household, or be related to you in one of the ways listed under this article, relatives who don't have to live with you. Or 3, if at any time during the year the person was your spouse, that person can't be your qualifying relative. The third test is the gross income test. A person's gross income for the year must be less than $4,200. Gross income is all income in the form of money, property, and services that isn't exempt from tax. And 4, the support test. The taxpayer generally must provide more than half of a person's total support during the calendar year. However, if 2 or more persons provide support, but no one person provides more than half of a person's total support, you can see the article on multiple support agreements. The table quantifies qualifying child, relative, or relative other than your parent. And you can go through this and pause the recording and see what you may or may not know. And here are some notes for that table. So let's talk about the impact of dependents on the tax return. Here are some potential benefits for each dependent. For child tax credit, you can claim up to $2,000 per child. The child independent care credit is up to $500 per dependent. The education credit is up to $2,500. And the head of household filing status offers a $18,350 standard deduction. So let's recap. Let's recap. To be a dependent, the person must be the taxpayer's qualifying child or relative. There are 5 tests for qualifying child: relationship, age, residency, support, and joint return. For qualifying relative, there are 4 tests: qualifying child, household membership or relationship test, gross income, and support. And now we'll end with a knowledge check. Here are some additional resources. It talks about filing status, qualifying dependents, what is a dependent, cost of keeping up a home, publication 4012. And up next, Module 3, income,